Hey there, job seekers and career warriors. Welcome to the scorching hot summer edition of the Just Get Hired podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Fiesta George, and we're spicing things up with a brand new format for the summer. So I want you guys to get ready for hot takes. This is where we serve up blazing conversations with top business influencers, career coaches, and some people that you might have heard from on previous episodes. We tackle the hottest workplace topics to dish out some flavorful, actionable information just for you. And here's the sizzling surprise. Our podcast is proudly sponsored by the Spicy Gnome Hot Sauce, which is delivering flavor-packed experiences like no other. Well, today's hot take is a fiery one because we're talking about no security and job security. So get set for an episode that's going to turn up the heat on this topic, because joining me is the one and only Kevin Dunlap, and he's a true serial entrepreneur since the wild 90s. Kevin's journey started with a dive into the unpredictable world of Y2K, where he discovered that the corporate world offered no stability. But this unstoppable force didn't back down, because now he is the founder and CEO of Optimal Performance Academy, and he's empowering small business owners to conquer the online realm of blazing success. And let me tell you, Kevin's background is a spicy blend, because he went from being a high school honor student to a Navy veteran to a math whiz, and he is also an ex-stuntman. So he's here to ignite our journey with over 20 years of wisdom. So I want you guys to hold on tight as we dive into this hot take on no security in job security and drop some fiery truth bombs along the way. So get ready for a flavor-packed journey that will leave your taste buds craving for more. So let's ignite that entrepreneurial fire and spice up your career journey together. All right, Just Get Hired podcast. I'm excited to welcome in Kevin Dunlap to the Hot Takes Summer Series. How's it going, Kevin?
It's going really well. Very hot out there.
It really is. We're going to talk about a really hot topic that I think our audience is going to enjoy. So we're talking about no security in job security. So that's kind of intriguing to me. So to kind of kick things off, do you mind sharing a personal experience or a story that can tell our audience what we mean by that?
Well, in your intro, you said something about me being a stunt person. The funny thing is, I was living in Raleigh, North Carolina in the late 90s, and I was working on the Y2K project. And my gig, this was with a BB&T Bank. I was a subcontractor for BB&T Bank through another company. That's where I was working with. And I ended up, it finished up in June, and they were giving us a 2 weeks vacation. And I said, you know what, I want to go to stunt school. So I went to stunt school in June. It was for 3 weeks long. So I asked my boss if I could take an extra third week off, since they were still trying to find me another position. And shortly after coming back, maybe a week or two after coming back, my boss says, well, we can't find you another position, so we're going to downsize you. Oh, and by the way, this is the middle of the year. You did not earn that second week of vacation, so we're taking that out of your final paycheck. Or that third week that you took off, we're also taking that out of your final paycheck, basically leaving me with zero of a final paycheck. I was peeved that something like that would happen.
Too. That's terrible.
And well, that's the whole thing is that's where I realized that there was no security in job security. Everybody, or at least back in the 90s, early 2000s, people pre-COVID, people would go to a job and maybe they're in my day, like you put in your 40 years, you retire, you get the gold watch, you get that gold watch, and then everything was done. And that's when I realized that there is no security in job security. One of the things I used to teach when I was a college math teacher a couple of years later was most people, when they work a job, they the money that they make, they spend basically what they're making. And I would say, like, well, let's say you got this race, now you're going to buy that new car, or redo the kitchen or something like that. And then what happens if you're working? So let's say you're now an executive at the company, and then one day you're heading to work. Oh, and by the way, you're working at this company called Enron. And anyway, you come up to the front door, and the gates closed. They're locked. So you just now lost your job. The entire company, everybody lost their job. So again, you never know when you're going to be let go.
So I think job security has taken a different definition over time. Do you think that's true or false?
Uh, I would say nowadays, especially with the millennials or people like that, they're not going through the same mindset or going through the same processes that people that were possibly our ages, people that are 40 or 50 or older, because they are more I don't know what the word would be, but they're more independent, I guess, and they're not they're looking at jobs as what is this as a stepping stone to my next job.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
so from the employer's perspective, their mindset has to change as well, because like, why would we keep on this employee if they're going to be here for a few years, and just using, we're paying him to be trained or her to be trained for them just to go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I'm trying to get all of the companies that I support to understand that, they see these gaps in resumes, people job hop all the time, and they're like, I don't want to hire that person because they're not going to be here for 5 or 6 years or more. I'm like, you're lucky if they stay 5 to 6 months, because if they don't get the skills that they need, they're going to go find it somewhere else. And it's not just about money anymore, it's about the skills that they learn along the way. And, that's why people are constantly just trying to find what's going to be that next thing that they could put on the resume to make them more marketable. So,
Well, and I look at that as well, because when you say resume, I also think about LinkedIn, because LinkedIn, a lot of people is using LinkedIn as their resume.
right.
So it's basically it's your public resume. You just you
Absolutely.
go to somebody's website or go to somebody's LinkedIn profile, and they said they're there for 3 years, and then before that they were there for 2.5 years. So they're showing their skill set, but they're also showing that they jump around a lot.
That's true. Well, for a lot of people, like I said, I was conditioned to prioritize job security above everything else. And that mindset has just totally changed. Are there any industries that you know of where long term employment is common, other
Well,
than
one
maybe the government, right?
industry, I don't know if you call this an industry, but one place where that somebody goes to work and gets paid, and there's a lot of them that are lifetime employees, it's the military.
That's
Or
true.
so I was in the Navy, and the thing was, are you going to be a lifer? Which means, are you going to put 20 years in? The other I would say is probably the federal government. Outside of
Okay.
that, I mean, the federal government is the largest employer in the country, because that talks about everybody from I don't know, people that work for the FBI, the CIA, Department of Justice, anything along those lines. But other than that, if you talk about the civilian world, it, I would say a company that has a good company culture
Hmm.
will probably attract a lot more long-time employees, as well as long as they are treating their customers correctly. Now, I don't know. The only one that comes to mind right now is back when I lived in Las Vegas. There's this company that's called Zappos, and they
Okay.
had a
Yeah.
very interesting company culture. I mean, it was very unique. And the thing is, if you did not fit in their company culture, you're probably let go. So,
Yeah.
and the company
They,
culture was very relaxed. That is, and if you said it's like it has to be done by 5 o'clock, like get it in there, get it to me as soon as you can, and maybe that person goes and sits in the beanbag chair and watches a little bit of music or something like that, just so they can get their the creative mind going.
right. Yeah, Zappos actually always comes up whenever you look at best companies to work for, or when people are like, I need to create a different culture and mindset for our organization. Zappos always comes up top of the list every time, because they have that framework already set, and people just try to model what they're doing because obviously they do it really well. Well, a lot of people look at job security in a number of different ways. So if they're not at a job, let's say for a long time, they're not going to retire there anymore. Um, are there different ways that they can find that sense of security elsewhere?
Elsewhere, I mean, I think all companies are going to be playing by the same token. Because back when I had a job, we had 401ks through the company, so that
Hmm.
meant that you save for a long time and you're going to be taken care of. Well, that doesn't exist anymore. So I
Hmm.
mean, so my thing would be that one is, if you're at a job that you're working and you don't feel like it's going to be a good, secure job, that you could be let go at any moment, regardless if it's something that you're doing positive or negative. is to probably always keep your resume ready, always keep it updated,
Yeah.
and still go out there and still apply for jobs, even though you may have a full-time job right now. Well, but always
Yeah.
be looking for something new. You just never know when this new employer that's not going to be hiring, that's on the other side of town, like, you know what, I think I would rather work with them. And then you can, well, give your 2 weeks notice and then start with the other job.
Well, they say all the time that it's easier to find a job when you have a job. And, sometimes people look at some of these bigger employers. For instance, in the recruiting world, during COVID, everyone got laid off because we weren't hiring anymore. And, when we got hired back, everyone wanted to go work for like the Googles of the world and Amazon and all of the big, platforms out there. And because they really wanted that on their resume, and they thought that was going to give me more job security because they're a bigger company, which honestly, not really. They're the first ones who cut because they have so many people on the payroll. So the smaller companies are the ones that people actually should look at if you really need to have that sense of security. Those smaller companies rely on the same skill sets. They just might not have the budget that most of the bigger brands have. But I think also, that sense of security, if you can't find it in your company, um, there's also ways to find that sense of security through just networking. I mean, networking through LinkedIn, finding people who are in the roles that you want to be at or in the companies that you are targeting, and just reaching out to those people, because you just never know. I mean, that could also turn into a job opportunity or business opportunity in the future. And so to me, that's kind of a sense of security. If I know that I have people in my back pocket, that I know that if I were to get laid off today, or if I needed a referral to go somewhere else, that I'm networking with the right people. So I think networking and just staying on top of what's trending in the industry, so that whenever you do get laid off, or you're kind of done with whatever you're doing, you understand what's trending in the workplace and in your industry, and then you can be seen as more of like an expert. What do you think about that?
Absolutely, and on LinkedIn, I'm not sure if you can how you can do it normally, but on LinkedIn there's a paid version called Sales Navigator, and that's for more
Yep.
like entrepreneurs. But one of the things you can do in Sales Navigator is look for people who work for a specific company,
Yep,
and,
that's true.
and that's one way that you can start reaching out to those people. Now, it does cost a little bit per month, and I believe you
Hmm.
can get the first month free if you haven't done anything with LinkedIn, any paid services with LinkedIn in the last year. But that is a great way for you to sit down and take the free version and go and find other industries and start making contacts with those people.
I People always kind of cringe about having to pay money for, like, an extra service. And I know LinkedIn Navigator, LinkedIn Recruiter, they all, of course, that's how LinkedIn is the big dog. They have to make their money somewhere, but you're actually using it as an investment in yourself. So if
Mhm.
this is a tool that you can use, of course you can use LinkedIn for free, but it limits your capability to find and network in those specific industries, or find the people that you're looking for. So I really say, if you're really interested in having that sense of security and building your book of business, that you invest in those kind of tools. Well, Hot Takes is about short and sweet topics here. So, I mean, is there any last minute things that we probably left out that we should include for our listeners?
Always have a contingency plan is basically what I would say. Always have that contingency plan, because I did not know I was going to be let go. I just got a phone call and say bye bye. Enron did
Mm-hmm.
not know. Most of the employees did not know it was being shut down. And you see it all the time in the news that UPS or whomever just did a 20% layoff of their employees. So
Right.
you could be one of that 20%. So always have a contingency plan in place. That's all I have to say about that.
All right. Well, Kevin, I appreciate you being a part of the Just Get Hired podcast. I'm going to have you on another episode. We've got a lot that we can talk about, not only on this topic, but on so many other things. But real quick, do you mind promoting your website and how people can find you?
Yes, what I am is I'm a business coach for entrepreneurs, for small business owners, and we do online courses. We do coaching. We have workshops and webinars, and all of that can be found on my website. That's optimalperformanceacademy.org. On the front page, if you want to schedule a strategy session, we can actually sit down and discuss you and your business. You'll see the link on the front page for our strategy session. Just click on that. That way, a free 1 hour strategy session that you can schedule.
Awesome. I'll have all of the links to find you in the show notes and then on my website, justgethired.com. Kevin, thank you for your hot take.
My pleasure, Jess. Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, there you have it. We've reached the end of this scorching episode with Kevin Dunlap, and we explored the spicy truth behind no security in job security. But before we wrap things up, I want to savor some of the delicious takeaways that I took from this conversation. The first thing is embracing adaptability. In today's job market, you have to be open and continuously developing your skills that will set you up for success. So you have to be nimble, get ready to seize new opportunities because you never know when they're going to come your way. The other thing is diversifying your toolkit. Don't rely on just tenure at a job or a single set of skills. You need to expand your arsenal by staying updated with what's trending in the industry, networking, and investing in your own personal and professional growth. Also, you have to seek stability in unconventional ways. So job security isn't about staying at one company anymore. It's about finding stability through adapting, constant learning, and just building a strong track record for success. So thanks again, Kevin, for being a part of the Just Get Hired podcast. And folks, that's not it. The spiciness doesn't get to end here because hot takes are all about quick episodes that are going to sizzle up your insights on the hottest workplace topics impacting us today. So make sure you keep an eye out because these are pop-up episodes that I'm hoping to release every week. And you can listen to it on the go or catch the video version on Spotify or YouTube. So if you're ready to spice up your life and supercharge your career, visit thespicygnome.com for some flavor-packed experiences, and then head over to my website, justgethired.com, because that's where you're going to find all the juicy details about me, what I do, and the incredible guests that I've had on the show. Well, if you want to stay connected and you like my scorching content, I would appreciate if you could follow me on LinkedIn. Search for me by my full name, Jessica Fiesta George. Also, head over to Instagram. Follow me there, Just Get Hired. Well, my name is Jessica Fiesta George, your host of the Just Get Hired podcast. What do y'all want to talk about next? I'll catch you on my next episode.